Morning. What are the toxins which affect our nervous system, our brain and peripheral nerves? You could feel numbness, pain, tingling sensation, and you consider it is due to age or to diabetes. It is not. It is due to toxins. And I'm going to go through them. And the first toxin, without wasting time, go into the subject, is artificial sweeteners. We feel happy because we want the sweet taste, but the artificial sweeteners, they are, especially the aspartame, which is very common in food. This is Arabic. The aspartame, it is the use in morning coffee. The aspartame is one of the most widely used artificial sweetener on the planet. It breaks down in our body into three distinct components, including phenol, alanine, aspartic acid, and methanol. And there are studies which is published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that aspartame consumption can alter the delicate balance of a neurotransmitter in our brain, particularly affecting the levels of dopamine and serotonin that our nervous system depend on its proper function. The methanol component is especially troubling because our body converted into formaldehyde, a non-neurotoxin that can accumulate in our tissues over time. Research at the University of Pretoria conducted showing that the chronic aspartame exposure led to measurable changes in the sciatic nerve structure of the test subject, demonstrating a visible damage to the nerve pathways that transmit signal between your brain and your extremities. The symptom often starts supply with occasional tingling in the fingers or toes, intermittent headache that seem to come from nowhere, and general sense of cognitive fog that makes it harder to concentrate and remember things clearly. Many people experiencing these early warning signals never connect them to their diet, soda habits, or their morning sweetener packet because the damage accumulates over time. So gradually it feels like normal aging rather than preventable nerve injury. The good news is that switching to natural sweetener like pure stevia leaf extract or monk fruit can satisfy your desire for sweeteners without this significant neurological risk. And for me, even these sweeteners are no good because it will stimulate the pancreas and the insulin, and it will produce havoc in our metabolic health. And many people report significant improvement in their symptoms within just a few weeks of eliminating artificial sweeteners from their daily routine completely. But some people, they are addicted to sweets, so this perhaps it is a good alternative. So don't rely on chemical sweeteners, and the nervous system may need several months to fully recover, but the regeneration process begins almost immediately once you remove the offending substance from your diet. But artificial sweeteners are just the beginning of what a neurologist wants you to avoid before we continue. Take a second. So it is number 5 is in fried and toasted foods. There is something deeply satisfying about biting into a perfectly golden French fries, crispy toast with just the right amount of char or handful of your favorite potato chips with the satisfying crunch. Unfortunately, that beautiful golden brown color and irresistible crunch come with serious cost to your nervous system that most people have never heard about. Acrylamide. It is a chemical compound that forms naturally when starchy food are cooked at high temperatures, typically above 250 Fahrenheit, through processes like frying, baking, roasting, and even toasting. The World Health Organization classified acrylamide as probably human carcinogen, but its effect on the nervous system are equally alarming and far less publicized. When it enters your blood, it has particular affinity for nerve tissue where it disrupts the normal function of proteins essential for nerve signal transmission and causes the type of damage known as distal axonopathy, which means that end of your longest nerve fiber begin to deteriorate first. This explains why neuropathy symptoms typically start in the feet and the hand before progressing toward the center of your body. A comprehensive study published in neurotoxicology and teratology demonstrate that these chemicals exposure at level commonly achieved through diet can cause measurable peripheral nerve damage with symptoms including numbness, weakness, and impaired coordination that worsen with continued exposure. The food highest in acrylamide include French fries and potato chips, especially when cooked until very dark, coffee, particularly dark roast, breakfast cereals, toast, and bread product brown at a high heat, and roasted nuts. What makes this toxin particularly insidious is that it forms during normal cooking processes that humans have used for thousands of years. But the modern diet contains fat higher concentration than our ancestors ever encountered because of the prevalence of processed and fast foods. Protecting yourself does not mean giving up all cooked food, but rather making smarter choices about the preparation method. Soaking potatoes in water before cooking significantly reduces acrylamide formation, as does cooking at lower temperatures for longer period rather than using extremely high heat. Choosing lighter color toast instead of heavily browned bread, steaming or boiling vegetables instead of roasting them at high temperature, and limiting consumption of commercial chips and fries that are cooked under conditions optimized for Christmas rather than health can dramatically reduce your exposure. Some researchers estimate that simple cooking modification can reduce acrylamide intake by 50 to 90%, still allowing you to enjoy delicious food. The next toxin on our list affects millions of people who think they are making healthy choices. And this is number 4, which is mercury and fish. Fish has long been celebrated as health food, packed with omega-3 fatty acid and lean protein that doctors recommend for heart health and the brain function. But lurking within certain popular fish species is a potent neurotoxin that has been systematically poisoning the nervous system of unsuspecting health-conscious eater for generations. Mercury, particularly in its organic form, methyl mercury, is one of the most devastating nerve toxin found in modern food supply. This accumulates in fish through a process called biomagnification, where larger predator fish consume smaller contaminated fish and concentrate the mercury in their tissue over time. A landmark study conducted by researchers at the Environmental Protection Agency found that even moderate consumption of high mercury fish species can elevate blood mercury level to concentration associated with detectable neurological effects, including peripheral neuropathy, cognitive impairment, and sensor disturbances. The fish containing the highest mercury level include shark, soured fish, king mackerel, tilefish, big tuna, and orange rovi, all of which are large predatory species that live long lives and accumulate mercury with each meal they consume. When you eat these fish, the methyl mercury crosses easily from your digestive system into your bloodstream, and from there it shows a troubling ability to penetrate the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in nervous tissue, where it interferes with normal neuronal function at the cellular level. The damage mechanism involves mercury binding to selenium-dependent enzymes that protect your nervous system from oxidative stress essentially disabling your nerves' natural defense system while simultaneously generating harmful free radicals that attack the delicate myelin insulation surrounding your nerve fiber. Symptoms of mercury-induced neuropathy often include tingling and numbness that begin in the extremities and gradually spread inward. Muscle weakness, particularly in the hands and the feet. Difficulty with fine motor tasks like writing or buttoning clothes. And changes in sensation that make it hard to judge temperature or texture accurately. The tragic irony is that many people developing these symptoms are the same health conscious individual who deliberately choose fish over red meat because they thought they were making a better choice for their bodies. The solution is not to avoid fish entirely because the omega-3 fatty acid in seafood genuinely do provide important neurological benefit, but rather to choose your fish wisely by focusing on low mercury options like wild-caught salmon, sardine and anchovies, herring, and Atlantic mackerel, while strictly limiting or completely avoiding the high mercury species that pose the greatest risk. Pregnant women and children are especially vulnerable to mercury toxicity and should be particularly careful about fish selection. But adults over 60 also face elevated risk because their nervous system are less resilient and their bodies are less efficient at eliminating accumulated toxin. What comes next might surprise you because it is something many people eat every single day. And this is number 3, gluten. For most of the human history, nobody talked about gluten sensitivity or worried about whether their bread was affecting their nervous system. But over the past 22 decades, an explosion of research has revealed that this common protein found in wheat, barley, and rye can trigger a devastating autoimmune response in susceptible individuals that specifically targets and destroys peripheral nerve tissue. The condition is called gluten neuropathy, and according to a groundbreaking paper published in the journal Lancet Neurology, it may be responsible for significant percentage of neuropathy cases that doctors previously labeled as idiopathic, meaning they could not identify any cause. Here is it work in your body. When someone with gluten sensitivity consumes food containing this protein, their immune system mistakenly identifies the gluten molecule as dangerous invaders and launches an inflammatory attack. The problem is that certain proteins in your peripheral nerves share structural similarities with component of gluten. So the immune system confuse and begin attacking your own nerve tissue in a case of molecular mistaken identity. It is called mimicry, identical molecule. This autoimmune assault can cause progressive damage to the axon and myelin sheath of the peripheral nerves, leading to symptoms that range from mild tingling and numbness to severe pain, weakness, and loss of function that can dramatically impact your quality of life. Researchers at the University of Sheffield found that approximately 1 in 4 people with unexplained neuropathy test positive for anti-agglutinin antibodies, suggesting their immune system are reacting to gluten even when they have no digestive symptoms, typically associated with celiac disease. This is crucial. This is crucial to understand because many people assume that if they can eat bread without stomach problem or bloating or abdominal pain, gluten is not affecting them, when in reality their nervous system may be suffering silent damage for years before obvious symptoms emerge. The good news is that strict elimination of gluten from the diet can hold the progression of nerve damage and in many cases allow significant regeneration and healing of the affected nerve over time. Studies show that patients who completely remove all sources of gluten including hidden sources and sources, processed food, medication, and even some cosmetic, often experience measurable improvement in their function within 6 to 12 months. The challenge is that gluten is remarkably prevalent in the modern food supply and appearing not only in obvious sources like bread, pasta, and baked goods, but also hiding in unexpected places like soy sauce, salad dressing, soups, and many processed food where wheat is used as a thickener or a stabilizer. I would suggest to use thickener, use flaxseed, chia seed, and psyllium husk. Okay, or 1 tablespoon of organic oat, which might contain gluten but less. Requesting, so if you have unexplained neuropathy and have not been tested for gluten sensitivity, requesting a comprehensive antibody panel from your doctor could reveal a completely reversible cause for your symptoms that a traditional neurological workup often miss. The next toxin damage more nerves than almost anything else in the American diet. Number 2, refined sugar. Sugar is a poison. And the processed carbohydrate. If there is one dietary factor that neurologists consistently identify as the major driver of peripheral neuropathy in modern world, it is the excessive consumption of refined sugar and processed carbohydrate that has become standard in contemporary eating habit. The mechanism through which sugar destroys your nerves involve a process called glycation, where excessive glucose molecule in your bloodstream attach to the protein throughout your body, meaning throughout every cell, because the cell work by protein, so it make the protein inside the cell sticky, so the cell cannot function, including the delicate protein that make up your nerve fibers. This glycated protein, known as advanced glycation end product, or AGEs, are dysfunctional and inflammatory, essentially gumming up the intricate machinery of your nervous system like sugar syrup poured into a precision. A major study published in Diabetes Care found that even people without diabetes who regularly experience blood sugar spikes after meals show significantly higher rate of peripheral neuropathy compared to those who maintain more stable blood glucose level, proving that you do not need a diabetes diagnosis to be damaging your nerves with dietary sugar. And how to control the sugar in the blood is to make muscle, because the muscle is a good thing to pull the sugar from the bloodstream. And the damage is particularly devastating to the small blood vessel that supply oxygen and nutrient to your peripheral nerves, a condition called diabetic microvascular disease that can occur in anyone who chronically elevated their blood sugar. And I think everybody is diabetic. Everybody. Even if your blood sugar is normal. Because if you want to make sure you are not diabetic, you have to check your insulin and sugar in a glucose tolerance test, which lasts for 3 hours. And not many people do this test. Which you fast, you go, and then 12 hours, then they take a blood sample, they check the fasting blood sugar and insulin. Then they give you 75 grams of sugar, and then they withdraw blood after half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, and 3 hours, and check how high is the spike of blood sugar and hormone, insulin hormone, and how long it takes to go back to normal. And it is called the Kraft test. It is the same name of the scientist who make this blood test, and he is a scientist who was researching in blood sugar and diabetes. So, chronically elevate their blood sugar through dietary choices. When these tiny vessels become damaged, your nerve begin to start losing the energy and nutrient they need to maintain healthy function, and ultimately dying off in a pattern that starts at the extremities and work inward toward the core of your body. The tingling, the numbness that so many people experience in their feet and hands often has its root in years of a blood sugar fluctuation that silently destroy the nerve supply long before the symptom become obvious. Beyond direct nerve damage, excessive sugar consumption it drives chronic inflammation throughout the body, and this inflammation state creates an environment hostile to nerve health and regeneration. Reducing your sugar intake does not mean you can never enjoy sweet food again, but it does require a fundamental shift away from the processed food that contain hidden sugars under dozens of different names on the ingredient label. They mask it hundreds of names so that you don't know it is sugar. Choosing whole food over processed alternative, selecting complex carbohydrate like vegetables and legumes over refined grain and sugars, and timing your carbohydrate intake to minimize blood sugar spike are all strategies that can protect your nerve from further damage while potentially allowing healing process of nerves that have not yet been completely destroyed. Many people report dramatic improvement in a neuropathy symptom within just a few months of implementing a lower sugar eating approach, with some experiencing complete resolution of tingling and numbness they had assumed was permanent. And then we arrive at number one, nerve destroying toxin that neurologists desperately want you to know about, and this number one is alcohol. When a neurologist discuss dietary substance that destroy peripheral nerves, one toxin stands above all the others in terms of its prevalence, its potency, and sheer amount of human suffering it causes worldwide. Alcohol consumed by billions of people globally and socially accepted in most cultures is quite simply the most damaging neurotoxin that most people will ever voluntarily put into their bodies. Alcohol neuropathy affects an estimated 40 to 60% of long-term heavy drinkers, making it one of the most common causes of peripheral nerve damage in developed civilized country. They call them civilized. And the tragic reality is that the damage is often begin long before anyone recognizes they have problem with alcohol consumption. The mechanism through which alcohol destroys your nervous system are multiple and synergistic, creating a perfect storm, tsunami of neurotoxicity that attack your nerves from every possible angle. First, alcohol itself is directly toxic to the nerve cells, damaging the axons that carry electrical signal and interfering with the production of protein essential for nerve maintenance and repair. Second, the chronic alcohol consumption, lead to severe deficiencies of thiamine, which is vitamin B1, and other B vitamin complex that are absolutely critical for nerve health, because alcohol interferes with absorption of these nutrients from the food and increases their excretion from the body. Third, how the alcohol works. The metabolic byproduct of alcohol processing, it creates oxidative stress that damage the delicate structures of nerve cells faster than your body can repair. A comprehensive study published in the journal Alcohol and Alcoholism found that even moderate regular drinking, defined as 2 to 3 drinks per day, which many people consider normal social consumption, can cause measurable changes in peripheral nerve function over time. The symptom of alcoholic neuropathy typically begin with burning pain and tingling in the feet that gradually worsen and spread upward, followed by the muscle weakness, difficulty in walking, and eventually severe disability in cases where drinking continue unchecked. By the way, eating alcohol or beer, also the bacteria will ferment it and produce alcohol. So you have the problem of alcohol consumption by eating the sugar and simple carbohydrate. What makes this particular neurotoxin so dangerous is the social normalization. It's normal, it is accepted, it is beautiful, you are up, you are in a higher rank of the society. Of regular alcohol consumption combined with the addictive properties that make stopping so difficult, even when someone understands the damage being done to their body. The only effective treatment for alcoholic neuropathy is complete cessation of alcohol abstinence, which can halt progression of the disease and allow partial recovery of the nerve function in many partial. The damage is done. Though the degree of recovery depends heavily on how much damage occurred before drinking is stopped. Nutritional supplementation with thiamine, which is B1 and B12, and other nerve supporting nutrients can accelerate healing once alcohol is removed from the equation. If you are experiencing neuropathy symptoms and you drink alcohol regularly, even an amount you consider moderate or social, having an honest conversation with yourself and your doctor about the role of alcohol might be playing for your symptoms. And this could be the most important step you take toward protecting your nervous system for years ahead. The research is absolutely clear that reducing or eliminating alcohol consumption provide more benefit for peripheral nerve health than almost any other single intervention available. It's not only the peripheral nerve, it is the brain cell, it is the nerve cells in the retina, and it affects the vision, it affects the cells in the liver and cause liver cirrhosis, which means fibrosis and liver failure. So if you are experiencing any of these symptoms we discussed today, tingling, burning, numbness, or weakness in your hand and feet, taking a hard look at your diet and identifying which of these six toxins might be contributing to your condition could be the first step toward real relief. The science is clear that our nerves have remarkable capacity for healing when we remove the substances damaging them and provide the nutritional support they need to regenerate and renovate. Well, remember that small changes add up over time, and protecting your nervous system today means preserving your mobility, independence, and quality of life for decades to come. And so, if you find this information valuable, so subscribe to the channel and spread this information, please, to the others, and don't miss any important health information like this. And thank you so much for watching, and thank you.